This is about a storyteller, about how we're all storytellers. I don't think there's ever been a better storyteller than the American cowboy. Their seemingly simple lives, the romance, their plight, their authenticity. It captured the hearts and minds of the entire world, not just us here in Wyoming. Cowboys have a special place for me. I grew up here in Wyoming on the other side of the mountain, having coffee with my dad at the coffee shop. I was probably drinking chocolate milk at the time, looking back. But I'd listen to stories from those cowboys, their authenticity. Each story was more compelling than the next. Each storyteller was better than the next. Those storytellers played an important role for me because after that, as social media started to come along, I realized that social media is still a storytelling platform. It's empowering all of us to tell our stories. So I want to talk a little bit about content. Content, everything starts with content. I created a business. I created a technology based on this concept that we all have a story to tell. With content, that's where it all starts. Content starts everything. So we have to be more conscious of content. Content is anything we express through a medium. For the cowboy, it's campfire stories or cowboy poetry. For the artist, it might be through a photograph or a canvas. And even for a business, it's a press release or an advertisement. The moral of the story is that we all have content to create and share. And this is what a content creator looked like in my parents' era. Very formal. We used Word documents and PowerPoints, and we went to print shops to print off our content, or we used a printer. This is what a content creator looked like. Very formal, right? There was a template that we followed. A journalist had AP format content. We would write and craft the message, and they were experts in creating their content. Movie producers, right? Cinematography. We have to have the perfect lighting and HD quality. This is the content creator in this era. It's you and I. It's all of us. We're content hackers. Hackers are what programmers prefer to be called in this day and age. They take all kinds of bits and pieces and bytes and they put them together and they make cool software and they make apps and products. We're doing the same thing to tell our own stories. So today we're all becoming content hackers. And it's very important. It's an important role. You're being empowered to tell your story through content. I took this photo, taking my boy to daycare the other day. I saw these cool shoes. Mom had picked him up these cool kicks. I took a photo of him in his car seat, and I hashtagged it, Converse. And so that was me telling my story. Well, it turns out lots of people take pictures of their shoes, and they all share their stories using the hashtag Converse as well. So my personal story, the story that's evolving over time, is part of another story, a part of a business's story or a brand story. And I don't know about you, but I can tell a lot more about a brand. I can learn a lot more. I can have an emotional connection with this brand through this content, way more than I could an advertisement or a press release or text, any kind of marketing messages. It's really powerful stuff. So as we look at the power of this content, I want you to think about the skills that you have. We're not all great photographers. We're not all great journalists, but we can all create great content. Look at the Tetons. Take them for example. Outside of this theater, the most photographed mountain range in the world, the Tetons. Content is being created and shared with those mountains as the subject every day, probably every minute that we're here. But it's not Ansel Adams caliber photography, and it's certainly not Waylon Jennings' poetic song lyrics that people are writing down about those mountains. No, it's an iPhone photo out of the car at 55 miles an hour, snapping the photo. But what's really cool about that is that it's genuine. When you take that photo and you share it with your friends on Facebook, or you send it through email, or you text message it to one of your family members, what's cool about that is it's real time. The moment that you're experiencing that or feeling that, the moment that you're starting to create that story, you're sharing it. And that's what's cool. We've all become empowered to create this content. Social media isn't about friending. I think that social media has been heralded for giving us the ability to make connections and create networks, the social network. But what I think is very important about social media and the big takeaway of why should we do this silly stuff is it's our opportunity to tell our story. Every one of us has a story. Every business, every organization, every person, we all have stories to tell, and that's what social media is enabling us to do. But it's up to you to discover your voice and to tell your story. The secret to great content is authenticity. So I can't tell you what your voice is going to be, but you can. You know what your story is. Every one of you have a story. And what's great is there's no formality anymore. The formality is gone. OMG, LOL, WTF. The formality's gone. It's not about dear sir and salutations. When's the last time you received a formal letter from a high schooler? Unless it was for class. The formality's gone, but that's okay. We're all empowered to create this content. There is no template. There is no template for your life. And no one knows your story quite like you. Thank you.